I'll tell you what happened to me. I was sitting alone in a cell, my wonderful 7 feet by I don't know how many feet, not many, solitary confinement, and I didn't know when my ordeal is going to end, and I think that was the toughest thing, not knowing. You see, as humans, we love to know. We love to know what is going to happen to us. We love to know when our difficult times are going to end. We love to know what ahead. But God knows. He knows your beginning. He knows today, and He knows how your life will end. But for us, it's difficult. So I was there, and I didn't know. The potential was that I'm going to be there for up to 2 years. And I think that was the toughest thing for me, not knowing. God, when is this going to end? I mean, if He would say to me 50 days on the 51, you're out, it would be like easy peasy a roller coaster ride. Because every day it's closer to the departure, right? But not knowing, it's hell on earth. It's not everything else. Not knowing when is the worst part. So I'm there and I don't know what is going to happen to me. So every day I would call my wife when I had my opportunity, or my son, or anybody else, like, tell me what is happening. What is God saying? Is God saying anything? Is there any prophet speaking? Like, you are holding on, you're grabbing to a little bit of hope. It's like a rope that you're desperately looking for when you're in the pit. And during that time, as I was walking like a caged lion, back and forth to the window, to the little window at the door, and back and forth, God spoke to me. And He said, I want you to run. I want you to replace those crooked politicians. I want you to throw your name into the hat. And you know, immediately when you hear those things, you say, well, praise God, I'll do it. I'll beat them up. I'll win. And then, of course, the enemy shows up. And it's like, you don't stand a chance. No one likes you. No one loves you. You're all alone. Who is going to vote for the most, how do they call it, the troublemaker? You know, they have been calling me all kinds of names, and controversial preacher. No, they are controversial. We are just following the Bible for thousands of years. We are actually not controversial. We are mainstream. They are controversial because they are, like, come on. You don't have to be very smart to know that from 2 cows, you will never have a calf. I mean, common sense. But they call us controversial. No, you people are messed up. You're crazy. You talk to a 5-year-old kid and he knows 2 bulls will not make you a big herd. It's just not going to happen. You can have a wishful thinking. You may think it's going to work, but biology says no. You're crazy. So anyway, I heard what I've heard, and then I talked to my wife or my son, I don't remember who said it to me, but Ray is outside with others fighting for me, putting pressure on those evil, wicked people outside of that prison, and he hears the voice, and he articulates, and he says, Artur Pawlowski for premier. And then my son or my wife said that to me, and I said, I know Ray, and I know he's not smoking crazy things. And I know he's not drinking stuff he shouldn't be drinking. So, I mean, this is a crazy stuff. And then Julie Green speaks and she says, from prison to palace. I'm still on house arrest. And I didn't connect. You don't connect the dots because we're so limited. We're so limited as humans. But do you know that the biggest scandal during this whole thing was not the mandates, the restrictions, the craziness? It was the Sky Palace hypocrisy. Jason Kenney, with all those vipers of his will go into history of hypocrites that locked pastors and locked and arrested restaurant owners and yet partied at the Sky Palace themselves. So here's a crazy idea. Sky Palace is a government place for the government officials, for premier, to enjoy I don't know what, but it has become a symbol of corruption. The Sky Palace, that place, has become a symbol of corruption. So if I was to become an elected official, I would turn the Sky Palace, symbol of tyranny, into an art gallery. And give it back to the people. The very symbol of tyranny, the very symbol of hypocrisy that has been hunting us for the past 3 years, turn it into an art gallery. For every man and every woman, every child that would be able to come and enjoy the view. Let's turn the symbol of tyranny into a symbol of freedom. Then I am at the parking lot. How many of you, oh, hi mom, so awesome too. Yeah, she is to blame. She is to blame with my father. They brought me to this country. So if you have any complaints, talk to her. So at the parking lot, you know that you can meet God at the parking lot. So I'm stepping out of my wonderful luxury, 20 few years old truck with holes like it looks like someone was shooting at it every second day. Well, my luxury vehicle. So I'm stepping out of that, vehicle and there is this lady. And she says, well, you're Art Pulaski, right? Yeah, guilty as charged. So she started to prophesy. She started to talk to me. She says, from prison to the palace. The same thing. And I said, well, have you been listening to Julie Green? She says, who is Julie Green? And then she says, you have to come on Monday to a church service. I'm thinking, on Monday? You got no idea how busy I am on Monday. How many shows I have and all kinds of different meetings. But whatever, what she said, it was powerful. Sometimes you know that God is speaking to you using somebody. She says, you must come. You have to come. Bring your wife. There is a word for you. There is going to be a man, a prophet from Nigeria. He's going to tell you what God has in mind. So I shared that with my wife and she says, oh, another one. Another one. Another prophet. Like every second Christian now is a prophet or apostle. So, we went as Christians, we went through all of that stuff. But I said to her, the way she said it, I felt the power of the Holy Spirit. I know this is God. So we have to come. We have to come. So we did. And he walks in. He was supposed to teach us something, but he stopped everything and boom, he turned to me. And I don't know if you watched it or not, but he said the same things. And he said something that scared me. He says, if you don't want to do it, fine. I'll find 7,000 that will. If you don't want to do what God is calling you to do, God will find someone that will. He will find someone that will replace you. And that scared me. I don't know about you, but I don't want to miss my destiny. You see, I don't care about anything else except being in the will of my Father, which is in heaven. That's the most important thing for me. I don't care if I am in your will. I don't care if people like me or not, as long as God likes me, as long as God votes for me. And once he said to me, Art, you and me, we're always the majority. You see, when you align yourself with God, you already won. The enemy sometimes doesn't know it yet. When David faced Goliath, he already was victorious. Goliath just didn't know it yet. That's what God is calling us to do. But I'm telling you, it took me 4 months wrestling with God, wrestling with myself. And I'm standing in front of you a scared man. And I know that's hard for you to believe. Because it's not very easy to scare a man like me. But I'm scared. I'm scared to mess things up. I'm scared to engage into, I say it. Politics is like a human manure in a sewer canal. You get too close, you get splashed, and you stink. You jump in, you stink. You need a shower. And I'm telling you, I have been with politicians all my life. And usually after the meetings, I take a shower. Sorry. Sometimes when I shake some of those people's hands, I need to go and wash it. I feel yucky, you know. It's like when you're handling fish. And this one is not good. It's stinking from the head all the way to the tail. So I'm not doing this because I want to enjoy the ride. I'm scared of this ride, but I know that sometimes you have to engage yourself into doing things that you're not comfortable and you don't want to really do it. I love to be a pastor. I love to feed the poor. I love baptizing people. I love teaching theology and history. I love what I do. I don't look for another job. I actually don't want another job. I want to be a pastor. But I realized that those people will not allow me to be just a pastor. So I'll become a pastor politician then. And what was chasing... And what was chasing me yesterday, I'll be chasing tomorrow. So I have a speech. I'll read it to you. Here's what I wanted to do. I mean, typical pastor, right? I just said, I'm just going to make an announcement, like 2 sentences, and then I'll go and teach some lesson. And as I did the first few lines, I said, no, you can't brush it off like this. It's too big of a deal in a bigger scale to just I'm going to be running and let's just move on into another lesson. So I started to put my heart on the paper, and here it is. So I have an announcement to make. After months of prayers and waiting on God's confirmation, we as a family have decided to throw ourselves into the hands of destiny. We can no longer avoid the calling of responsibility. I will be running in the upcoming leadership race for the Independence Party of Alberta, and later on for the position of member of the Legislative Assembly in the province of Alberta. I have come to this realization that the corrupted politicians, will not let me live my life in peace and will not allow me to be a pastor, which I am called and love to be. Therefore, I will become pastor politician. And the evil that was chasing me yesterday, I'll chase tomorrow. Amen. The past few years have showed us that the level of lawlessness and corruption has reached new heights. And it will require someone that has the spine and the willingness to get the biggest plunger in Alberta and drain the swamp. By the way, I already have one. It's big. I don't know it's big enough, but it's a good start. And it's blue. Like our Alberta flag. I look at it, it's like, oh my God, this is symbolism. Right here in my own washroom. Can you imagine get the revelation in your own washroom by looking at the plunger? I'm telling you, God has a sense of humor. I learned about his sense of humor when I joined a Polish church a long time ago. Our pastor, an awesome man, awesome pastor, was taller by a head than me, and his elder was shorter by a head than me. And when they walked together, it was the funniest thing we ever saw. It was absolutely funny. And I look at this and I said, God, you have a sense of humor. You do. And I know every time you look at the mirror, you look and you say, God has a sense of humor. I had to pick on you just once at least. So, drain the swamp that has pillaged and contaminated our beloved Alberta for far too long. I have been avoiding this moment for a long time. However, I believe that I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" So I could no longer pretend that he was not calling me. And finally I said, "Here I am, send me." Amen. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? We have to start somewhere. I said, let's start here in our beloved Alberta. We have to go and remind people that there is a living God, that He loves them, and that it is not His will that they should perish. We have to remind this land that God is calling us back to Him, and He wants to make this land once again glorious and free. Freedom and prosperity will come back to us when we decide to come back to God, who established this land for us that we proudly call home. So I will do my best to walk in the footsteps of the legends from the past, like William Eberhart, the 7th Premier of Alberta from 1935 to 1943. The Premier that was known as Bible Bill for his outspoken Christian views. An estimated 300,000 people in and near Alberta tuned into the Bible Bill every Sunday as he preached his weekly sermons. A pastor and a premier in one. Just like Samuel was a judge, was a politician, a ruler at the time, and a priest. He never separated those two callings. Those two callings was one calling. The Bible Hour had a higher Hooper rating in Alberta than Jack Benny, whose program followed. I'll do my best to follow in the footsteps of Ernest Manning, best remembered as Alberta's premier from 1943 to 1968, the longest serving premier in the Commonwealth, and as a host of Canada's National Bible Hour for nearly half a century. These dual roles exemplify his practice of integrating Christianity with every area of his life. Think about it, today's politicians, they have two hats. They have one during the election. And when you listen to them, you will not believe them, because I am telling you, they know how to talk. Brilliant, unbelievable, straight to the point. And you listen to their words, you really want to believe them, because they're telling you the things you want to hear. And then somehow they become schizophrenic, or maybe they were schizophrenic to begin with, because then on Monday they put another hat. Me, I am myself, and a sky palace. I'll do my best to follow, not in their footsteps, but in the footsteps of those two great Christian premiers of Alberta. Here are a few things that I will follow learning from Manning's life. 25 consecutive years as premier, Ernest Manning was defined by strong social conservatism and fiscal conservatism. He was an outspoken critic of government involvement in society. If he was alive today, he would say to those nice Nazi officers, "Get out." Get out and don't come back with a warrant, without the warrant. Constantly publicly denouncing socialism and communism before, while, and after becoming premier. Manning remained a staunch anti-communist all his life. He remained. Instead, he encouraged strong religious, individual, and corporate initiatives in addressing and solving social issues. Manning believed that the government was there to motivate and give direction, not to intervene and carry the load. It's not the government officials' business who you have in your house. It's not their business to tell us if we can worship our God or not. On his radio broadcast, Manning emphasized the individual side of faith. It was thus consistent for him to stress less government and more individual responsibility. It's amazing. Sometimes I'm thinking, were those people real? Were they actually a living human politicians? His emphasis was on the life-changing effect of a commitment to Jesus Christ. And he wanted his listeners to understand that their parents, church, or good works could not make them Christians. As individuals, they were responsible for their own spiritual condition and destiny. Being a pastor and a politician, I am promising you this, that I will continue in preaching the truth, and I will always stand for people's rights to choose their own path. Ernest Manning's radio preaching, which spanned 46 years, blended evangelical pietism with an emphasis on the messages of the Bible's prophetic books. He spoke often of the need for national spiritual revival and urged Christians to live in the light of Jesus' imminent return. It was his radio work that gave him a national profile, particularly with respect to his Christian faith. At its peak, the National Bible Hour was estimated to have 600,000 listeners from across Canada each week. It's a pretty big church that this premier had. So it is time to go back to Alberta's roots that made this land so amazing and prosperous. In addition, Manning was a founder of the Fundamental Baptist Church in Edmonton. He was also active in such Christian organizations as the Gideons, a service group whose members distribute Bibles in hotels, hospitals, schools, and prisons. Well, these days, it's very hard to get a Bible in prison if you're Arthur Pawlowski. And the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada. So if elected, I will also do my best to give honor to my God, Jesus Christ, and to serve people with honesty, accountability, and integrity. I believe that it is time to stop the insanity of voting for the lesser evil and doing over and over again the mistake of the revolving door. Different name, different party, the same swamp. As a Canadian, I've heard this all my life. All my life. Well, we cannot allow Notley to win. We have to vote for the lesser evil. Or we cannot allow the Liberals to win. So we have to vote for the lesser evil. And look at us today. Replacing one snake with a viper, and then the viper with a scorpion. Call it the viper, the NDP. The Liberals are the snakes. And the UCP, pick your choice. In the animal kingdom. Snakes, scorpions, and vipers. Double-minded people. We can do better. We should do better and vote for a grassroots party that is outside of the entitled old boys club that has been destroying our beloved Alberta for a very long time. Do not vote out of fear. Vote with your conviction. Vote for a man that you would like to lead you into the future. Never again vote for evil. From now on, only vote for good. By now, everyone that does not have blinders on can see that they are all the same. They want to be tyrants, spoiled, tyrannical destroyers of our future and the future of our loved ones. Pathological liars, only interested in the people during the time of elections. Like monkeys that will go to bed with any creature if that creature would promise them their vote. Isaiah 56:11. Isaiah 56:11 puts it this way. They are greedy dogs, which never have enough, and they are shepherds who cannot understand. They all look to their own way, everyone for his own gain, from his own territory. In other words, they seek their own personal gain. So I'm telling you, if elected, I'm going to give up my salary as an MLA because I am perfectly satisfied with the salary as a pastor. And I promise you, I will not stop being a pastor, no matter what. Every penny I will be getting, if Albertans will elect a man like me, I'll be giving back to the homeless charity. They are uninterested in real people and their problems. The professional politicians have betrayed the trust. They have committed treason. And instead of serving those that have elected them, they use them only to enslave them. And this must stop. I'll do my best to expose them and to stop them. It is time for the people to get their voices back. I will give you that voice. And if you know me, for years I have been talking about referendum. Why can't we have a referendum that impacts not just our lives, but the lives of our children? Why should we settle for few people that somehow think they represent all of us? We need our voice back. As a victim myself, as a victim of their corruption, I'll bring back the check and balances. I'll bring back accountability. It looks like that they are not accountable. They can do whatever they want. And that reminds me my conversation with the judge, the crooked, one of the three crooked amigos, Adam Germain, the wannabe tyrant judge. When I said to him, if you found me guilty, I hope we're going to share a cell with the Premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney. Why? Because he did the same thing I did. Actually, no. He was sipping whiskey while I was saving lives. It's not the same. I will restore the secret task of being the servant of the people, for the people that they have forgotten about. So let's together, you and I, I remind them what it means and what it looks like to serve and to protect those that God has entrusted to us. As you know, I take my calling very seriously. If I would not, I would welcome the Nazis in and make a deal with the government and be very rich. As you know, the churches received lots of money to terrorize, to subject the people that they swore to protect. I take my calling very seriously. My job is to be a shepherd. God gave me a staff, and I will not hesitate to use it on the wolves and the hyenas. We have to remind them what it means to be a real representative. Government of the people, for the people, and by the people. As a politician here in Alberta, we should not work for the globalist agendas. We should work for Albertans. So I do not know what the future holds, but I do know who holds it. It is not them, the political snakes, the vipers, and the scorpions, but our God that is bigger than all of them combined. Here are the words of a man that maybe you have heard of. Some love him, some hate him. President Donald Trump. Here is what he said. A lot of people want me to run for things, for a lot of high offices. The polls always show that I win any election that I am in. But I don't have any real interest in running for office. I am more interested in supporting people. If I win, I only want to do this for the people, to support the people, the average Canadian that works hard to support his loved ones and wants to be left alone, not harassed and intimidated by a tyrannical government. So I echo his words. I don't have any real interest in running for office. I love being a pastor. I love feeding the poor. I love ministering to the people. Again, I've told you politics is like a human manure in a sewer canal. I think you have to be crazy or called by God to be part of this. If it was not for God and His clear will in my life to pursue this avenue, I would never throw my name into the hat. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy. My God be done. So today I once again submit my life into His hands and will do my best to serve Him and the Canadian people to the best of my ability. So help me God. Amen. So remember, you will not be losing your pastor to the politics. Amen. You will have politician and a pastor in one. Be blessed and stay strong. Amen. Amen. Thank you.